Welcome back to Joanne.com. I'm your host Mikey of the Crochet Crowd, going for clue number 2, which is week number 2 of the Bernat Blanket Stitch Along, where we're taking an Afghan project and making it really cool, because you really don't know what you're working on until the very end. That's why it's a mystery. So today we are going to clue number 2. Last week, if you missed that, just go back and see the last video and pattern, and you can access that at any time in order to be able to follow along. Then you can join us back here and then we can work on it together. But we won't tell anybody that you missed week 1. It's between us. So what we're going to do is in week number 2, last week you did a beautiful circle. So what's going to happen this time? Can't tell you, but if you do scroll to the end of this video, you can get a preview to see what you're going to be doing. But if you like to live dangerously and on the edge, of course, just stay with it right here. Don't forward ahead and be pleasantly surprised at the end. Choice is up to you. So that's it for me gabbing in front of the camera. Let's go down to the studio right now and let's begin our clues for week number 2. So let's move along in clue number 2. So far we have this done. It's a circle with a nice little border around, and mine is a different color so it looks completely different, and it's amazing how the colors can make that big of a difference. So what we want to do is, if you haven't got this done, please backtrack, go back to clue number 1 and do this first before moving on in today's tutorial. Today's tutorial we're going to break down all of the particular steps that are involved, and that's regarding reading the chart and doing the stitch work. So let's move along. So when I last left you, we did clue number 1 and we did this circle, and I had it all marked out for you as you saw. So now we're going to move on and we're going to do this here. And so we're going to convert the circle into a massive square. So we're going to lay it down on top, and just as a demonstration, you'll see that the slip stitching lines up perfectly. Now you'll see this is going off into the rails a little bit. You should just know that this is more of a large version of this, and so therefore it doesn't align properly in the paper, but it aligns perfectly on the sample itself. So what we want to do is that we want to move up and we want to look at this particular item. So here's your circle that's in the center. The grayed out plus signs here, those are single crochets. You've already done that. That's number 12 as it states up here. And then what we want to do is that we want to do a total of 7 more rounds. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 to bring this whole circle into a beautiful square at the end of this tutorial. So let's go through the stitch work. This looks a lot more complicated than it is. Of course, I had to pull up my highlighters and I'm going to show you what to look for. Well, you know me by now. I like to mark up my charts, and here we go. This is what it looks like, and this is my version here. Isn't that pretty? I should get some awards for that. So what I want you to notice is that I have highlighted the single crochets, which are plus symbols, and if you're just joining us for the first time, you should know that all of these particular symbols are available on a stitch key, and it tells you all the stuff that you need to know. Now you're going to see stuff on the stitch key that are currently not on here. I guess that's coming ahead. You'll have to stay tuned and watch for that. So what we want to do is that we want to look at the plus signs, which are the single crochets. Want to look at the half double crochets. We want to look at the double crochets, which I never highlighted, and then trebles. Okay, those are treble crochet. So you're going to notice on this particular sample is that what happens on one side of the square happens identically on the next and on the next. The only difference here on this top one is that this is where we're going to carry on the slip stitch. So essentially you have your chaining up. This is how we move up. So this is happening on here. So why don't they show you the entire square? Well, the reason for that, if you're not familiar with these kind of ideas, is that because it's a mirror image, everything happening on this side that you cannot see is showing right here, and everything happening on this side right here is showing right here. It's just showing you how to get started, what one side looks like without a slip stitch, and how it carries around as to show you the corners. So you have to just be very conscious of that. So let's just take a look at the stitch counts and see what is unique about this pattern. So let's take a look at the stitch counts, and I highlighted certain critical areas that I would need for myself, so you can have the advantage of being in my brain for 2 minutes. So what we have here is I got the single crochets. In single crochets there's 11 in the first round, 13 in the second, 17 in the third. And if you kind of look at it, you can kind of see that in the second round here it expands over the half double crochet, so you can see that it's getting bigger, and then there's more and more just like you see. So because it's getting bigger towards the point here, there's going to be an expansion towards the corners, and so then you're seeing that as well. So what's happening on one side is happening on the other, which is happening on the other and the other, just like that. So here what it looks like without any slip stitching because this is where you're going to join it and then move up to the next round. And so you can see that again there's 11, 13 and 17. So then I looked at the half double crochets. So half double crochets on all of them, which you can see in the fuchsia, is 5 and 5 and 5 and 5 and 5 and 5 all the way for round number 1. Round number 2 was 6, just like that. Okay, and number 3 was 8 half double crochets in a row. So it just makes a lot of sense that when you're going all the way around for this idea is that you're kind of keeping an eye on the counts. I also looked at the double crochet. I never highlighted it because I didn't have another marker, but you can just see that in round number 1 we have 5, round number 2 we have 6, and round number 3 we have 7. I never counted the corners when I did all of these counts, so I said that the corners are not included. I also then looked at the trebles. How many trebles are in a row without being in a corner? And so then in round number 1 there's 4. See? There's 4 on both sides of the corner. And I never included the corners on that. And then in round number 2 there's 3. So 1, 2, 3. And that's how I looked at it from this perspective. Once we get beyond round number 3 it gets then really quite simple. So what you're noticing right here is that we're getting really taller stitches in order to bring this big large circle into a square shape, and that's exactly what we're trying to go for. So I know this is a long description, but I think that if you understand this chart and once you get beyond number 3 it gets a lot easier from that point as well. So we're gonna start round number 1, and where we're gonna start is that we're going to really look at it from a perspective of where you finished off. I can be quite honest with you with this particular one, it doesn't matter where you start on this particular circle, it's all gonna be balanced out anyway, because the stitch counts that are gonna go all the way around this are gonna balance the circle anyway. So you can either choose to start exactly where you left off, or you can just be somewhere else in the circle. For the first time around it doesn't matter because you'll end up back in balance, but then from that point you'll have your slip stitching working out. So it actually looks really quite decent, and because it's a full circle it really doesn't make a difference. That's completely your call. To stay true to the designer I'm going to start exactly where I stopped. So there's going to be 2 in a row, and then there's going to be the one where I started. So when I look at it here I got my 2 in a row, and here's exactly where I started. So this is my starting point right here, and I'm going to start off with teal and begin round number 1. So let's start off, and I'm going to not create a slip knot. I'm just going to create a loop just like you see in my hand here, and I'm going to go into the very first one that we had started with before. So this is where I ended, and that's where I want to pull that through. So pull that through, and we're going to then begin our next step. So leave the straggler down on top so that it gets stuck underneath like we've done before, and I want you to chain 1, and we're going to single crochet into that same one plus 4 more of its friends across the way. So we got 1, and then we'll move on to the next one for 2. Just make sure this stays on top so you don't have to sew that in later. And 3, 4 and 5. Okay, so with the slip stitching that you started with plus 4 that gives you a total of 5. So let's move along. We're going to carry on with the half double crochets, and there's gonna be 5 half double crochets in a row. So wrapping the hook first, going in. So you got 1, we got 2, 3, 4 and 5. So now we're gonna move on to the double crochet. So the double crochet there's gonna be 5 in a row. So the next 5 are all going to be double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So you can see the stitches are getting taller as it's compensating for the bend of the circle. So now we're gonna move on to trebles, and now there's gonna be 4 trebles in a row. So we're gonna wrap the hook twice going into the next stitch, and we're gonna do 4 of these trebles. So 1, and then moving into the next one, 2, okay, do it again for 3, do it again for 4. And now the very next one is a corner. So in the corners they're always the same for this particular round, is that there's gonna be 2 trebles, 2 chains, 2 trebles, all within the same stitch. So we're gonna wrap the hook twice going into the next stitch. We're gonna do 2 trebles into that same stitch, just like that, chain 2, and then 2 more trebles back into that same stitch once again. So there's a lot going on in that one stitch to start creating the corner. Look. Okay, so you've officially just turned your corner, so you can see how you're getting bigger and bigger. And let's turn our work and let's begin to go up the other side. So let's begin to go up a full side without any slip stitching involved. So we're gonna treble into the first 4. So you got 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so you see that going on. And now let's move on. We're gonna do 5 double crochets in a row. So the next 5 are double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now we're gonna move on to half double crochets. There's gonna be 5 half double crochets next. So you got 1, whoops, that was 1. Try that again. You got 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now we're gonna move on to single crochet. So you see that you're getting smaller and smaller back into the corner, or sorry, back into the flat edge. So there's gonna be 11 single crochets in a row. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So now we're officially and then ready to go back bigger again. So there's gonna be 5 half double crochets in a row. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, and now we're gonna do double crochets. There's gonna be 5 double crochets in a row. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now we're moving on to trebles. So if you remember, there was 4 trebles in a row. So let's start doing that. So 1, I'm actually already remembering this pattern. It's great. So this is 2. We have 3 and 4. And now the next one is the corner, just like we had before. So let me show you how to do a corner one more time. So you're gonna wrap the hook going into the next stitch, and you're gonna do 2 trebles into the same stitch. So back into the same stitch again, chain 2 for the top. So 1, 2, back in the same stitch, then again for 2 more trebles. So what I want you to do at this point is that I want you to either carry on as per the instructions, or just reverse this video and take yourself back to where you had started over here, and it will take you back across the top. And when I come back, I'm going to meet you back when we're going to join it to the slip stitch, and I'll just show you how to finish off. This is round number 1. So as you come up all the way back around, I want to show you a little secret that I did. So I'm off by 1 stitch, and I've double counted, and I am off by 1. So I never counted before I started the ring. So what I did is that I did 2 together single crochets right here, and this will make sure that 2 just became 1, and it's really not going to be noticeable at the end of the day with this kind of thing. So instead of frogging everything back out, if you're off like that, no big deal. Just make sure that you did get all your stitch counts right. So now I am left with my 6 that I need. I had 7, that's why I did that, and I'm going to put in my single crochets for 6 in a row. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and just this is where we started, 6. So then we want to just join it to the top of the first single crochet that we finished with, just like that. So now you've just gone all the way across, and you now got the startings of your corners just like so. So it's not yet complete a corner, like a square for example. So we're gonna then carry on for round number 2, and we're gonna make this more square as we go. So let's move up to round number 2. We're going to chain 1 single crochet into the same one, and this time there will be 6 single crochets before then we start the half doubles. Half doubles, if you remember, in round number 2 there will be 6 in a row. In the double crochets there will be 6 in a row, and then in the trebles we're going to reduce down and there will only be 3 and then a corner. So then it starts up the other side again, 3 trebles in a row, and the double crochets there will be a total of 6. There will be 6 half double crochets just like so, and there's gonna be more single crochets along this side. There's gonna be a total of 13, and we're gonna continue to do that all the way around. So please do that, and I will see you in just a second. So let's begin. We're going to chain 1 and single crochet into the same one, and that it counts as one of them. So we need to do a total of 6. So if that includes 1, so that's 1. Moving along, we got 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now we're gonna carry on for half double crochets, and this time there will be a total of 6 in a row. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Just like that. And then what you can do then is then we're gonna do double crochets, and this time there will be a total of 6. There will be a total of 6 double crochets in a row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we have a total of 6. And now we're going to move on to the trebles. So there's gonna be a total of 3 trebles in a row, and look, you only have 3 trebles anyway to work with. Do you see that? So that kind of gives you your clue as well. So we're gonna do 3 trebles in a row. So 1, 2, and 3. So this is growing the corners out even more. So in the corner, the chain 2 space, this time there will be 2 trebles into that same space. So 1, and we have 2, followed by a chain 2 like before, 1 and 2, and then trebles back in for 2 more into that same space. So now a corner is done. So now I'm gonna show you what it looks like to go all the way down one side. So you can see we got smaller here as towards the top, and then we're getting bigger to compensate for this circle going around. Let's move along, and I'm gonna show you one complete side. So let's do one complete side together, and you can reverse the video then to restart the next sides if you need to. So you're going to do the first 3 are going to be trebles. So 1, 2, and 3. So now we're gonna move on to double crochets. There will be a total of 6. So 6 in a row for doubles. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. There's gonna be 6 half double crochets next. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And now there's gonna be 13 single crochets in a row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. Now there's gonna be 6 half double crochets next. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. There's gonna be 6 double crochets next. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and look at that. So you got 3 trebles left. Do you see that? So then those are going to be trebles this time. So 1, 2, and 3, and now you're back on a corner. Corners are always going to be the same in this particular one, so we're going to do 2 trebles into the corner, chain 2 space, chain 2, and 2 trebles in. Just like that. So that's what you're gonna end up with, and so you can reverse this video. You can see now you've gotten more from the narrow and you've gotten bigger as you're starting to do this turn, and this is starting to look more and more like a square. Please do the remainder of the sides and I'll meet you at the end of this rotation when we decide to do the slip stitch together. So in completing round number 2, I've just got my 6 half double crochets in there. I had 6 double crochets. I had my 3 trebles in there right back to the corner, and now I'm left with a total of 7 stitches left over for my last single crochet. So let's do that together. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and join it to the top of the beginning single crochet to finish that round for round number 2. So that's what it looks like. It's getting closer to a square. It's not quite yet there. We still have to do one more round in order to make it completely square, and then moving on to that from that point. So moving up to round number 3, we're gonna chain up 1 single crochet into the next 8. Okay, so we got that includes that 1. So you have 8 in a row. Half double crochets on the third one there's gonna be 8, and then we have double crochets on the third one. There's gonna be a total of 7, and there's no more trebles. That's it. So the 7 does not include the corner. I never included that when I did that, so it says corner not included. So then we're gonna come around then, and we're gonna have again double crochets in a row. You're gonna have 7, and then you're gonna have 8 half double crochets as you come, and then this right here you're gonna have a total of 17 single crochets, and then you're gonna repeat the pattern all the way around. So let's begin round number 3. Start round number 3. We're gonna chain up 1, and you're going to single crochet into the first one, and you're going to join its buddies there. So there's gonna be a total of 8 in a row, so including that one, let's count that one in already. So the next ones are gonna be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So moving on, let's do half double crochets. There's gonna be a total of 8 in a row. Let's do that one. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and you're getting closer to the corner. Now we're gonna have double crochets left. We have a total of 7 in a row. That does not include the corner. So let's do 7. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. It takes you to the one right before, and now you got your corner. So in your corner, what you're going to do for every one of the corners for this round is that there's gonna be a total of 2 double crochets into the corner. So 1 and 2, followed by chain 2, and then 2 more double crochets into the same corner. So I'm gonna begin working down the side, doing a full side with you, and then you can do the rest of the sides on your own, and we'll meet back at the end. And you can see this is actually now gone from almost a circle into a complete square. Let's begin one full side together. So now that you got a full square done, so now that you got a full corner done, we're gonna move down the side. So let's begin. We're gonna do 7 double crochets first in a row. So starting in the first one, so you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now we're going to move to half double crochets. There's going to be a total of 8 this time in a row. So let's do that. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that was 5, 6, 7, and 8. And now there's going to be a total of 17 single crochets in a row. So let's do that. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. Just want to double check that. Just coming along. And we have, there you go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. And after this round, the counts really don't matter too much for being this accurate, for having to count everything around. So this is the last time you're gonna have to really be that concentrating on the counts for this particular clue. So let's begin again. So we're gonna do 8 half double crochets. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I just want to count that again. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And now we have 7 double crochets in a row. I'm starting to remember this pattern. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and that takes you to the corner just like there. So your corner is your next, so it's gonna be 2 double crochets. So 1 and 2, chain 2, and back into the same corner for another 2. Please do that all the way around. Just, you can reverse this last side if you want to, if you need to reminder what to do. And this is kind of what it's looking like now, and it's actually looking really quite cool. So let's continue along, and I'll see you at the end of this round. I've now circled most of the way around, and I'm coming back to where I've done the slip stitching. So I've done my half double crochets. There was a total of 8 in a row, and then 7 double crochets, and then the corners, just like we had over here. So the final on this one here is going to be 9 single crochets in a row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And look at that, it takes you right back, and then just join it to the beginning single crochet. So this is what, it's now almost a full square, if not quite, and it just stretch a little bit, but you've got almost a whole square look. So we've gone from a circle transition here to a beautiful square. So now we're just going to continue on with rounds 4, 5, 6, and 7 for this particular area of the clue. And now the major counting is pretty much done for this. Going from a circle to a square like this requires a lot of counting in order to get the square shape back out of this. So let's move along to round number 4. So here we have the chart once again. So round number 4, you can see it's 1 double crochet in each stitch all the way, and in the corners it's just 2 into the corner, chain 2, and then 2 back into the corner, and just 1 double crochet in each. So you don't really physically have to count. As long as your counts have been right all the way to this point, you can just zip around. Remember that the chain 3 that you start off with counts as a double crochet in this case, so you're going to slip stitch it to this area here, to the top of the chain 3 when you come all the way back around. So round number 4 is nice and easy. It's chaining a 3 that counts as your double crochet, which counts as the first stitch. Move to the second over, okay, and just double crochet in each stitch now, going all the way around. Now on the corners, make sure that what I just talked about is 2 double crochets in the corner, followed by chain 2 and 2 double crochets back into the same, so that you can do that turn. So just please, just one double crochet in each, except for the corners. Then put 2, chain 2, and then 2. And I'll see you back here in just a moment when you finish this round. And for those new to crochet, just to recap on the corner is just come right to the edge. Okay, so you've got the last one in, and then in the corner is just 2 double crochet right in there, and then chain 2, 1, 2, and then back into the same corner for 2. And then you begin to double crochet all the way around. Don't forget, you got to get that first one in there and then continue along the line. Okay, so that's it. It's going to continue along for round number 4. So I'm coming to the conclusion of this. I got 2 more stitches left. Don't get confused that this one that leans over is actually an extra stitch right there. So make sure that you don't do that. I used to do that for years and I always ended up with the wrong count. So you're just gonna double crochet in the final 2 and then just join it to the top of the chain 3. And once you join it, it actually lines everything right back up. So that was the conclusion of round number 4. We're now gonna start round number 5. In round number 5, we're going to start an accent round, and the accent round is essentially just a double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, and keep going all the way around. On the corners, what we want to do is just double crochet, chain 2, double crochet in. So we want to keep an eye here that you'll notice here on the outside on the corner that you have a double crochet that is in the last one, chain 1, and then double crochets in the next. So you're not actually skipping anything between these when you're doing this. So when we go to start up, we're gonna chain 4. 3 of it counts as a double crochet. The extra one is considered as a chain 1 space, and when you come back all the way around, you are going to then just put in chain 1 first, and then just join it to the third one up so that it keeps that chain 1 space open. Let's begin. Let's show you how to do this. So let's begin round number 5. We're gonna chain 3. So 1, 2, 3, and then chain 1 more. There's your 4. So that was your double crochet and your chain 1 space. You're going to skip the first double crochet, which is this one right here, and you're gonna go to this one here and you're gonna double crochet. So you're gonna basically, as you go along the edge, is that you're always skipping 1. So you're gonna chain 1, skip 1, and double crochet into the next. So this will be a really quick round because you're skipping so many stitches. Chain 1, skip 1, and double crochet in the next. So it's gonna create a nice piece. On the final look of this Afghan, when you see it, you'll understand why we're doing this today. Okay, so chain 1, skip 1, double crochet. I'm gonna take you all the way to the first corner and show you what to do there. So chain 1, chain 1, double crochet into the second one over, so you're skipping 1. Very easy round here as you go. So chain 1, continuing along closer to the corner. It'll open right up in the next round once we get playing with that. Okay, I forgot to chain 1 after that one. So I could tell that it was kind of leaning too close to it. That's how my visual cue. And then what we're gonna do is chain 1, skip 1, go into the next, chain 1, and look at that. So I'm gonna end up skipping 1. I'm ending up right in the very end. So that means that my counts are correct. Chain 1 and then come into the corner. So double crochet only 1 time, chain 2, double crochet again in, chain 1, and then come right into the very first one as your starting point, and then again the same thing. So chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the next, and do that all the way to the next corner and continue to do that all the way around. So it'll look really kind of weird at this point, but once you get to the next round it'll open up just beautifully on you. So continue that all the way around. So I'm coming to the conclusion on round number 5. So just chaining 1, and this is the last post in, chain 1, and if you look at it, it's skipping 1, and here is the post for the next one. So I know that it's right. Count the third one up. So 1, 2, and 3. Don't go all the way to the fourth, because then you'll accidentally eliminate that chain 1 space from before. So that is the conclusion. You can see it's kind of looking great, and we're gonna move up to round number 6, which is the conclusion of this color for this particular area of your Afghan. So back on the chart once again, number 6, we're going to slip stitch over to the chain 1 space first, and then chain up 3, which counts as a double crochet, and then we're gonna just double crochet in each one of the double crochets and chain 1 spaces as we go. When we get to the corner, what we're going to do is then 2 into the corner, chain 2, 2 back into the corner, and continue along. When we get all the way to the end of this one, we're gonna slip stitch, and then we're gonna just do a different color, just like you did before when we finished off doing the circle. Let's begin round number 6. To begin round number 6, you have to slip stitch to the first chain 1 space first before you begin. So just insert in, pull through and through, and that will shift you over to being over top of that first space, and that's where the designer wants us to be, and it makes a difference. So do that, please. So you're gonna chain up 3, and coming into the next double crochet, which is next, is gonna be a double crochet, and coming up to the next chain 1 space is going to be a double crochet. So you're just gonna continue just to double crochet into the double crochets where they're available, and if it's a chain 1 space, then you go into the chain 1 space, and you're gonna do that all the way around. Really quite a no-brainer idea. And what we're going to do is when we get to the corner, it's just like we had been before. It's going to be 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 double crochets when you go right into a corner. So that's really quite an easy pattern to be able to follow along at this point. And let me take you to the first corner for those that are just new to crochet and aren't sure what I'm saying. Sorry, I don't know any good jokes. Yep. So continuing along, hopefully you're liking this pattern. I'm actually really liking how it's coming together. I'm crocheting this for the very first time as I go, so I'm enjoying the process as well of seeing it come together in my hands. So continuing along here to the corner. It's longer to the corner than I expected, but you know, each round is gonna get progressively bigger, so each round takes a little bit more time to go around. So I'm just really quite a nice pattern to be able to follow with the chain 1 spaces there. It makes it quite easy instead of worrying about each individual stitch. So you're going to go into the chain 1 space, and then you're gonna go into the last double crochet before it turns into a corner. Okay, so go into the last one, and now the next one is your corner. So it's gonna be 2 double crochets, so 1 and 2, followed by chain 2, and then 1 and 2 back inside that same space to complete that corner. So please do that idea all the way around. See, it looks really kind of cool. Now you got an accent round in there, and continue that idea all the way around for round number 6. So I'm coming up to the conclusion of this round, and I'm just finishing up the final steps. Remember that we did slip stitch over to the chain 1 space the first time, so then this one that we technically would have started on before, if we haven't done it, needs to be filled in. So make sure you get that last double crochet in, and that's it. So you're going to just slip stitch to the top of the chain 3. And that concludes off that round. We're now officially done this color at this point for this particular area of the Afghan. We're just going to trim our yarn, and all I'm just gonna do, the next round, if you can see in the pattern, is going to be single crochet all the way around. So you can just safely weave this in and out for about 2-3 inches in, and then when you go to double crochet around, you can trap it underneath. So we got one more round in this particular area before something interesting happens, and that's not until clue number 3. So continue just to weave in your ends, and I'll see you back here where we'll start the final round. So finally I'm gonna bring my accent color back up. In my case it was vintage white, and I'm gonna use that now, and I'm gonna just join it to where the top of the last slip stitch was, and then I'm just going to single crochet all the way across. In the corners there's 4 single crochets that go into this chain 2 space, and then again single crochet all the way down to the next corner, and so on. Let's move on to round number 7, which is the final of this area of the Afghan. So without creating a slip knot, just loop it around your hand like so, and go into the top of the first one that you started with, just like so, and pull it through. And I want you to leave the straggler down on top of the line so that you can crochet right over top of it. I want you to chain 1 first, and into the same one that you just inserted in, just single crochet, just like that. Perfect. So now you're just gonna move along to every double crochet is going to get something. Okay, so it's all going to get single crochets. So this is like an accent color. So continuing to move along, so keep going, lay that down on top and get it right underneath. It saves you getting a darning needle in the end, and it will hold it nice and secure as well. So once you get to the corner, don't forget you're going to put in 4 single crochets right into that chain 2 space to allow you to turn the corner, and then all you're just going to do then is just single crochet yourself down until you hit the next corner once again. So just single crochet all the way across. I'll meet you at the first corner. Just quickly review that, and then I'll see you back here in just a moment. So I'm coming to the first corner, so I'm just gonna go right into the last double crochet that I had, and now it's a chain 2 space, and you're gonna put 4 single crochets there. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and just immediately start on the first double crochet that you hit when you go around, and just start double crocheting down the side as well until you hit to the next corner, and so you'll end up with a beautiful corner just like that. So please continue to do this all the way around. So I'm coming up to the conclusion of this round, just single crochets all the way back to the very beginning, and we're just going to join it with the slip stitch, and that's it. So this is clues number 2. So number 1 and 2 are now done on the mystery crochet along. What's gonna happen in clue 3? I know exactly what's gonna happen. I think you're gonna love it, and you'll have to join me back here. So please fasten this all the way off, and then join me back here for clue number 3 as we then progress in making this Afghan. So please make sure that you are weaving in your tails, get them out of the way completely, and so then you've got a nice fresh start for clue number 3. So that's clue number 2. Week number 2 is now complete. You got to get some homework done before you see me for week number 3, which is next Monday. We're going to then dive in. So we've gone from a circle to a square, and what are we going to do next to it? Can't tell you. No, seriously, I can't. No, really, I can't. So you have to join me next Monday, and we are going to have a good time. Don't forget about our Facebook events page on Joanne's Facebook, where we're showing work in progress photos. And if you have any questions, we'll try to answer as best that we can. And we are really thrilled to see the creativity that's already happening on that page. So on behalf of Joanne.com, I'm Mikey of the Crochet Crowd. Join me next week as we take our adventure the next step, which is clue number 3. We'll see ya.